is up, guys? I am Dappz. This is Dappz Sports Shop on Melrose. Welcome to the show. I am super excited. We are going over Topps Chrome Star Wars Galaxy today with my favorite nerds, myself, Dappz. We got Merlin in the house. We got Dan, the great curator, and we got Eric, the pop count over here. So we are super excited to start the show. And Merlin, how did you get into Topps Chrome Star Wars Galaxy?
Well, man, I was just, as a child, since I was 7 years old, I saw Star Wars, and I was been buying Star Wars cards ever since I was a kid. And then as a grown-up, I was like, man, why don't I start buying some, graded Star Wars cards, vintage? So with the series coming out, Boba Fett, Kenobi coming out at the end of this month, I started, looking on eBay and other, website sources for vintage, graded Star Wars cards, graded 9, 10, anything I could get my hands on before they started exploding and skyrocketing in prices. And then when I was searching, I came across the Star Wars Galaxy, and I'm like, what is this? They're serial numbered, and as you know, being a sports card enthusiast, the biggest graded card, or the most popular cards are the serial numbered parallel cards, and they're so affordable. This was like a year ago, but last fall. And I was like, whoa, how if I start buying the Darth Vader, the Kenobis, and the Boba Fetts all in the low serial number? So anything I could find of 50, 25, 5 numbered, serial numbered, I started buying my hands on. And I was like, this could be a cool, experiment. So I started buying all those cards off eBay and anywhere else, ComC, anything I could get my hands on. And when I would get them, I would send them off to any of the grading companies, and they would all come back, and almost 99% of them would come back gem mints. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And we all had the same interest. Dan and I had the same non-sports card interests as well. We loved wrestling, we loved Star Wars and Marvel and celebrity cards.
Hey, wrestling's a sport, man.
Exactly. Okay, yes, it is. It's sports entertainment, folks.
Yeah.
So he was like, Merlin, you need to come to the Dallas Card Show with me in January and bring all your weird stuff, man. Bring your Star Wars cards, your Marvel, and your celebrity cards, but bring it. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have all this Star Wars cards. They're all serial numbered, and I know Boba Fett's coming out pretty soon, so I brought all my Star Wars cards, and I'm like, gosh, I've never brought cards with me onto a plane before. I hope this works, because I was like, I had to be very selective of what I brought, because I only had 3 or 4 display cases, didn't I, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was like, gosh, I hope this works. And the first day or two, I wasn't really moving the cards on Thursday or Friday. And I know even Dan was sweating for me, because he's like, I told Merlin to bring the weird cards, but they're not really selling. He's going to kill me. But then Saturday morning came, 10 a.m., and all the Star Wars cards got wiped out, man. Wow. The vintage, the Chrome Galaxy.
Saturday at the Dallas Card Show is always the best day.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always the best day. So, when we would set up there over the past couple years, usually we get there either Wednesday night or Thursday morning, and then we set up our table or whatever we're doing. And Thursday is always a little slow because people are still getting there, or obviously people who live in Texas are commuting and they're still working. Maybe they're coming Friday after work, whatever it is. So even Friday sometimes is a little bit slow too at the Dallas Card Show. But Saturday is when everybody's got off, right? And that's when it really picks up. And that's no surprise to me that was the day. Even Sunday, it slows down a little bit, you know what I mean? Not as much foot traffic. So that's really cool to hear, and I believe it for sure.
And I saw the magic start happening, and then people were bringing me more Star Wars Galaxy cards, and so I had enough to stock back up. And when I came back home to Los Angeles, then I sent those back to grading. I came back in March, and between then, the magic was happening. I was selling more on eBay. I was selling more at the shows that we were going to out of state. And then when I was also at that Dallas Card Show in January, when I sold out, people were like, where did all those greatest Star Wars cards go? I'm like, sorry, they were all sold out. They're like, oh my gosh, those are the coolest cards ever. And then when I saw the people again in March, people were like, did you bring more Star Wars Galaxy Chrome cards? And I was like, I sure did. They're like, oh my goodness. And let me tell you, I sold them all on Thursday and Friday.
Wow.
And I didn't even have any Chrome cards by that Saturday.
So question.
They were all wiped out by Friday.
Questions. Dan, that was the first time you had seen the Chrome cards from Merlin?
Yes, because my story is a little bit different. Like I was a primary sports card collector last year, just like most of us here, and but I've always been like a nerd for pop culture.
Me too.
Right? And I love Star Wars, and I bought the Dappz Chrome boxes when they first came out. They were only like $120 when they first came out, because my friend David, the LA card guy, he told me that this is a special box because each pack has a refractor. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I opened 2 boxes, and I was just amazed by the artwork, because I normally don't collect like movie cards, like pictures and things like that, like just like screenshots, but this was all artwork. And I did like a live break where I opened it, and I was just amazed by everything. And I was pulling heat. I was pulling like X Fractors, you know, low numbered cards, parallels, things like that, but they weren't worth anything at that time. And it's a funny story. It's like I actually gave almost all those away for my Christmas giveaway on my YouTube channel last year before they were worth anything. And suddenly, then I started going to Dallas with Merlin, and he started selling these things. And I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? And it took a couple shows for me to see him sell it consistently that I started to see value in these cards. And then that's when I started to do some research, and I was still buying the boxes, but I was planning on ripping them. And then that's when we, fell into the KUROSAWA card at Atlanta.
So for those of you that don't know, who are out there watching us, we've all come together because of the Grail that we consider the Grail, and most other Star Wars Galaxy Chrome collectors consider the Grail, and you can see it behind us.
Look at this bad boy, guys.
The KUROSAWA 1 of 1. You want to go to Merlin or Dan. They both have content, and Dappz. We all have videos of the sale of this card. But this is the 1 of 1 SUPERFRACTOR. The art is by Randy Martinez, which you actually interviewed Randy Martinez, which I thought was one of my favorite videos of this set, which was getting the insight of that card. You want to just brief us on like what that was from what he said?
Yeah, so just a quick recap of how we found this card here. Merlin, I'm going to give all the credit to Merlin here, okay? Merlin is so good when he goes to card shows that he talks to everybody. He's friendly. And somehow you made friends with the guy right next to you, the table right next to you.
How could you not? He's right next to me, literally.
This guy had all sports on his table, okay? But somehow he starts talking to Merlin, and somehow you bring up Star Wars Galaxy Chrome. You're showing off the KUROSAWA because at that weekend you were selling at the
at the Culture Collision show, and everybody at that show was also amazed by the cards as well, and they were like, where are the boxes? How do you get these boxes? And I was telling them, look for the Galaxy Chrome boxes, don't look for the Legacy, because some people were going around buying the Legacy by mistake, and I was like, make sure it's the Galaxy, not the Legacy boxes.
This is really funny because this is when I first heard about you. He told me, he showed me this card, and I thought this card was so cool. I was like, wow, this is amazing. That's the first time I'd seen the KUROSAWA, really, refractor version. And he's told me this guy, Eric Estrada, he's in this boy band online, and he wants this. And I thought he was joking. I thought he was ribbing me. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, pop count.
And then I started looking it up, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So I started looking for one of these for myself. And then anyways, he starts talking to that dude next to him, and that dude pulls out a shoebox with the KUROSAWA inside the shoebox. He didn't even have it on display.
So hold on a second. You guys are both together at...
We were always together. We're always set up together.
This is March. When is this?
This was the end of February.
End of February.
End of February.
At Culture Collision.
You're at Culture Collision in Atlanta. You find
this was Sunday.
Is this a random guy, or you know this guy?
Random.
No, he was literally the vendor right next to me. Set up right next to me all weekend, and then probably an hour before I'm about to break down to head to the airport, I'm talking to him. He sees all the people talking to me about the Star Wars Chrome Galaxy cards.
For days in a row.
Yes.
So he's been watching you talk about Star Wars for days and has said nothing to this point.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And then I was sharing with him what my favorite card was. I was like, oh yeah. This is my favorite one. Like, it would be my dream to own the 1 of 1 card. And he's like, well, I think I have a surprise for you. Wow. He goes, let me pull it out. It's in my shoebox.
Hold on a second though. He's selling Star Wars cards too, or no?
No.
So this guy who is not selling Star Wars cards, he's selling sports cards.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's like, I have something in my shoebox, and he literally goes under the table and pulls the shoebox out and pulls this one out.
And let me ask you something. It's in a sleeve, it's in a top loader, it's in none.
It's in a pre-graded case.
It was a raw card review.
Okay.
Yes.
Some third party companies.
That makes me feel a little better because as I heard the story through the grapevine, it was like in a shoebox, like in a penny sleeve.
Yeah.
No.
Who did this? Who allowed this man to commit this crime?
Card saver, just like this.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a flea market shoebox.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
When that happened, and Merlin bought it,
And
like,
this card is sitting in there
Yeah.
in the card grade review, right?
Yes.
when Merlin got it, he ran to me. He's like, Dan, guess what? And then he pulled it out and he showed me. And I was really happy for you at the moment, but secretly I was like jealous as hell. I was like,
I wasn't there and I was jealous.
like, give me. And then at that time, like, you were so excited. And remember what I told you? I said, if you decide to sell it, give me a first shot at it.
Yes. Okay.
And then a week later, we went to Dallas,
Yes.
where he had it on display. And at that time, he had it at like $5,000.
Yes.
And at that time, that's insane for a Star Wars card. That's like 10x what a Star Wars card would be worth, right?
And I thought like it was untouchable at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, you thought that was a price that it was never going to move at that price.
Right.
Yes. And I was just like, okay, whatever. But then I saw the attention that card got. And that validated the price in my mind. That I was like, wait a second.
It was like Pulp Fiction,
Right?
Like when they open and
Yeah.
the gold is shining.
Yeah,
out.
and
And
everybody,
this is on Thursday.
and people were making him offers, $2,000, $3,000, right? They were getting close to his number, but they weren't ready to pull the trigger. And I just thought to myself, you know, if I don't grab this now, somebody else is gonna grab it. So I paid up for it to get it from him a week later after you got it, right?
Yes.
And then that's how
So-
I came into possession of the Kurosawa. I sent it off for grading. Took like about a month or so, and then the first time I put it on display was at
Del Mar.
Wow.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah,
So Eric is gonna have to fill in some of the gaps
Okay.
for this
Okay.
because
this is my first time hearing this too.
you have to understand too. I'm running Dappz Sports streams on a daily basis, so I'm so engulfed in this. And then Pop Eric comes in and he's like, "Yo, like check out this Star Wars." And I have a supplier, by the way, who I bought Star Wars signatures. We've been ripping it for but I'm not like crazy about stocking it all the time. Like, I'll buy 10 boxes here and there. They'll pretty much sell out within 24 hours because they're affordable. They're like 100, 110, 120 bucks. Masterworks occasionally, but anytime he tries to sell me on alternate sets, I would always be like, I'd kind of roll my eyes like, nah, man. Like I basically ask him, is it selling? And if he said yes, I would take it. If not, but I guess for whatever reason, and I'm almost ashamed of this, he probably offered me Chrome Galaxy at some point, and I was like, nah. You know what I mean? I was probably like, nah, right? Whatever. Fast forward. This is where Eric might have to fill in the gaps. At some point, I think it was maybe February or March, Eric brings up Star Wars to me. He's in the shop and he's talking about it, and maybe you want to tell the story because I don't remember it as clear as you do.
Well, like the reason we're all here is because the Kurosawa has brought us all together.
Yes.
And obviously it's created a lot of hype within the market, within the hobby. We see slab stocks posting about it. We see all the things we follow. They're all posting about Star Wars and how vintage has gone up. But a lot of that has happened primarily because of this card, the sale of the Kurosawa. So I heard through the grapevine that Merlin had the Kurosawa purple out of 25. Now I have been collecting Galaxy since August. I know the refractors. I know how hard they are to grade. I know the Kurosawa is my favorite card. Before I knew the story from Randy Martinez, it was just my favorite card. When I found out that you had a dime of this card, purple refractor, there's no mojo, there's no wave, there's nothing that can hide the imperfections of the card. When I heard you had this card in a 10, I needed it. And that's when I reached out to you blindly online and I said, would you be able to move that? And you told me, I have no interest in moving it. It's my favorite card. I'm actually putting it on display, and I'm in Atlanta. I'm putting it on display, and I have a pretty high price tag on it at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, fair enough. Later on, obviously, I don't know that this happened until later on, but that's when you found the SUPERFRACTOR, and you reached back out to me and you said, "Are you still interested in the purple? Because I just got my Grail card,
Yes,
and I'm willing to sell you the 10." And I said, "It's sold. Let's do it." I received the card. It's been my prized possession, my favorite card of all my cards, sports and non-sport alike. And I had come into the shop with it in my hand, and in my case, And I pulled out, I'm like, dude, I've been collecting this set, and I had no idea Dappz even liked Star Wars as much as he did. And I said, I have to show you this because I just believe this is just one of the best cards I've ever held in my hand. It is just one of the best cards I've ever owned. And I pull it out, and we were in the back parking lot, and I'll never forget him grabbing the card. It wasn't in the slab mag, or right?
Yeah, slab mags.
It wasn't in the slab mag yet, but you know, he just held it in his hand and he just gazed at it, and I saw myself in his eyes, like looking at the card the same way I looked at the card, which was like, we've seen so many sports cards, so many red, so many like parallels, 5 out of 10, and he was just staring at it and he goes, this is the most beautiful card I've ever held in my hand. And I knew right then we were onto something very special. And I then told him the story about the 1 of 1, obviously, because I only have this card because you have the 1 of 1. And at that point, we were tracking the 1 of 1.
So Eric buys the card, just on a timeline, buys the card from Merlin after you get your grail.
Right.
And then you're showing this card to me probably within a couple weeks of receiving it.
Absolutely.
Or that week, right?
Within a few, it was like 3 weeks.
Right. So within 3 weeks, that happens. Now, you know, what I do with any set, whether it's sports cards, Star Wars, non-sport, anything, is I'm using eBay as the market to see, you know, what is selling, right? Like, what's selling at what price point, and I start to see superfractors selling. And I'm like, I'm seeing sales between $500 and $1,000 on superfractors, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, immediate red flag in my head. I'm like, what is going on? Superfractors are $1,000, right? So now I'm getting really interested. And now I'm looking up different cards because, to be honest, I loved the KUROSAWA at the time, but I'm also like, I want a Vader card. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want a sick Vader card. Like, what is the, like, immediately my mind went to, I want the Superfractor Vader, and then I wanted to rip boxes open and see what was going on. And funny enough, the first week that I'm looking, I discover this card, and I see it sell on eBay. And I think it was around $1,000. This is the We Are Bearing Gifts Superfractor 1 of 1. The art is by Nathan Hamill, which is Mark Hamill's son. Am I correct?
That's correct, yes.
So I immediately fell in love with this card, and not even in the Superfractor, just in general. And I see it sell on eBay for $1,000, and I'm like, damn it, I would have bought that card for $1,000, right? Just like that. And then within that same week, I think Eric and I had spoken about the KUROSAWA and how that sold at the Dallas Card Show for $5,000. Now, at the time, I don't even know who you guys are, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
$3,800.
$3,800,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
The way I understood was $5,000,
yeah.
$3,800, okay.
I promised, yes.
So anyway, I hear about that sale, and by the way, I was at the Dallas Card Show. So I probably either walked by you guys at some point and had no idea what was going on, and I had the same feeling that I had on eBay with this card, which was, I would have paid $5,000 for that card, Raw. Are you kidding me? That's the biggest card in the set, 100%. Now, again, guys, the reason that I felt this way is I track card prices in the sports market, and then you watch F1, which I'm not even fully invested into F1, but I still see the prices regularly, right? So I see what cards sell for on a regular basis. So when I heard that this was the elite card, and then I actually held it in my hand, and then I saw the artwork that was on it, and I'm learning all these things, it's $5,000 raw, I'm thinking to myself, like, that was stolen. You know what I mean? Like, and every price up until then was stolen, and it might not be as valuable right now, but if they follow the same trajectory of other markets, who knows what this card can sell for? And that's how I felt at the time. Now, fast forward to the Del Mar show, right? Which was last week.
Right.
Where I finally get to meet you guys, and that was on camera last week for anybody who didn't see it. We have that posted on YouTube. I'm going into this show with my buddy Rinks, and I'm saying, we need to find a $10,000 sports card to buy for a YouTube video, right?
Now, let me ask you. So you were at my table earlier today. You were looking at my Kobe Auto. Did you see that there on the case right next to it?
So I'll tell you the exact story from the beginning to the end, all right? We're in the parking lot, and I'm talking to my buddy Rinks, and I'm like, hey, you want to grab the cameras? And he's like, let's do a walkthrough first. Like, let's just walk the show and get a feel for it, right? I'm like, all right, cool. We go in, we're walking around, and I don't think I had seen you yet, but I think I had seen a video that you guys either did together or some type of podcast that you had done about the KUROSAWA card, so I knew your face. And I saw you at the show, and I think I just like the gold in the SUPERFRACTOR was like popping out at me, and I'm like, I gotta go see that card in person. You know what I mean? So I walk up to you, and I look at it, and I think I asked you if you had any offers on it. Now, mind you, too, like I'm actively looking for a Ja Morant or a Steph Curry or somebody in the playoffs for NBA. Like that's why I was scoping out the room. But this card just drew my attention. I had to look at it. I've been like tracking it online for months. So I go up to you and I ask you if you had any offers, and I think you were like, I had an offer for 10 grand. And I said no. And in my mind at the time, by the way, I didn't even tell you guys this. So leading up to this, a month previous, this card, which is it's not the true Darth Vader card, it's the Vader's Revenge. This is the FRACTOR out of 10. And I got this on eBay a couple months back. I think I paid like $500 raw for it. And I find out that a guy from Polwax pulled the SUPERFRACTOR of this card. And now in my mind at the time, this is like my grail card above the KUROSAWA. I'm like, I want that Vader SUPERFRACTOR, right? So I reach out to the guy, and I'm like, he had just got it back from PSA and it gemmed. And I'm like, dude, how much you want for that card? And he goes, 25 grand. And I'm like, dude, the KUROSAWA just sold for 5 grand raw. Even if it gems and you want to 4x the price of that, it would be 20 grand. I'm like, I literally write to him, and I could show you these messages. Where did you come up with that number? Right? Now, it's hard to argue with him too, because everything he's saying back to me is what I believe about the card. He's like, well, I pulled it, I'm not invested in it, I think it could be worth a ton of money. Like I think you're right. You know what I mean? I really can't argue with it.
Disagree with it.
You know? So anyway, that conversation kind of fizzled out, and I was like, that guy's got a monster card, you should keep it, right? So at the time, in my head, I'm thinking, again, through the grapevine, I don't know where I came up with this number, I'm like, he's gonna want 50 or 100 grand for that card. Like that's what I thought at that time, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm not paying that money for that card right now. So again, walking into that show, anybody can say whatever they want, I had no plan of buying that card. I know that he's been taking some grief online about this was a setup and it was a lube job.
We all been taking grief on that.
And Eric set all this up. Now, mind you, too, Eric came to the show, but I think you got there the day after me. Did we get there the same day?
We got the same day.
Okay, we got there the same day.
I got there before you, actually.
But Eric and I this wasn't like this planned out episode where him and I were going to show up at the show and find KUROSAWA and all this stuff. Like I said, we were going there to shoot some content. Like
we were shopping Tatum.
Yeah, we were looking at Tatums, we were looking at Currys, we were looking at anybody who was in the playoffs. Jimmy Buckets, Giannis, right? So that's what we were looking at. And again, this card is just like, even looking at it on the table now, it's like I feel this, you're just drawn to it. You like want to look at it, right? And you put it in the gold case too, the gold slab bag, is it?
Slab
bag.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that thing is gorgeous. Yes. I came up to you and I was just asking questions, and then I think I said to you something to the effect of like, what is the number that you need for that card? And I think you responded with 20 grand. And when you said that, I was like, what? In my head, I'm just like, I thought this guy wanted 100 grand for this card. So now, remember, the plan is to spend $10,000, right? When you say 20, I'm like, I could stretch the budget a little bit. I'm like, I don't want to spend double, like I didn't want to spend 20 grand on it.
So you pivoted your plan from the NBA card to Star Wars.
Correct. Okay. So you and I had spoke, you said 20. I go back to the parking lot to get the cameras at this point, right? And now I'm talking to my buddy Rinks, and I'm like, listen, I really want that card. I'm like, I really want that card. I'm like, I want to shoot 2 intros. I want to shoot a Star Wars intro and an NBA intro, like reshoot this. And then he said something to the effect of, why don't you just shoot the real thing, which is like, you're going after an NBA card, and if it happens that you pivot and you go to Star Wars, like that's a cool storyline, right? So that's the way we ended up shooting it, and I came back in and we kind of had the same conversation again, you and I, about the card and the way...
I didn't want to sell the card.
Honestly, watching footage of you after, everybody watching, like, this dude does not want to sell this card.
I came there just to show it off because I wanted exposure for it and to promote Star Wars. I did not want to sell it at all. until you came up to me. And if it was anybody else, I would have just brushed them off. But just given your relationship with Eric, Merlin's involved, the exposure that we could put on the card, it just kind of like, it was like serendipity.
Yeah.
It was so soon. He wishes you came maybe 6 weeks later, but not like 1 week later after he got it back from grading.
Right.
Well, the idea is like this actual card in some way, somehow, became the show at Del Mar. Everyone started to now gather around during the sale of this card, and you can check it out on the YouTube video. The hype behind the card started to like grow, and we just started seeing the crowd sort of. It was almost like a schoolyard fight, and there was like these. You can feel the angst on both sides. You can see us in our huddle, and we're talking about it, and his partner Mikey's like, "Don't do it," and I'm like,
"Oh, really?"
And he's more anxious than me, by the way. He's like, "Oh my god, what is going on?"
Of course, Eric is,
because he didn't think it was, and that also should speak to this wasn't like a planned out job, because he was so anxious about it. Like you could tell on camera. He didn't know this was going to happen. He had no idea.
I was with you. I thought the price was going to be way out of range, and it should be.
Yeah.
Like the idea that you weren't ready to sell makes a lot of sense to all of us.
Well, I'll tell you guys this, like for a lot of people, for Star Wars cards, to ask $20,000 for any type of Star Wars card, that's not 1977 high grade Luke one is unthinkable.
Yes.
Unthinkable, right? And that's enough to scare 99% of the people away, except you.
Well, it's funny too, and this is what I'm going to go back to sports cards with this. I had a discussion with my buddy the other night about this card, because he said I saw the video on YouTube, and he said, it took years and years and years, 30, 40, whatever, however many years, for a sports card to break $1 million. And then once that card broke $1 million, there's been $20 million card sales. You know what I mean? It just took that one card. And I think that's also what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Why you felt compelled to sell it too, is this might be that mini moment within Star Wars which propels other cards to go up in price.
Yeah.
Again, I have no idea how large this can go, but at the same time, this whole market, this is how I looked at the eBay sales, right? Eric's shown me the cards that he has, and some of them I'm in love with, and some of them he's in love with, and some of them I'm like, that's cool, but not for me, I want this one, and everybody has a different, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Like, so there's cards that he absolutely loves, and there's cards that I absolutely love, and then there's cards that I like that he loves, and there's cards that he likes that I love, and that's probably goes for all of us, right? So I'm looking at the markets on eBay, and I'm looking at the completed and sold items on eBay, right? Of different cards that I find beautiful, like C-3PO over here, and like I said, the We Are Bearing Gifts, and the Darth Vaders, and just the ones that I am like, yo, this card is gonna pop. Like Han Solo cards, this card is gonna pop. This Luke Skywalker, this Yoda, like your staples of Star Wars. I'm like, these are iconic scenes. Or they're just beautiful art pieces on a card. They're SUPERFRACTORs. They're out of 5. And what they did tremendously, that your buddy Steve said on the last week's podcast, is that the out of 150 and the out of 99s are gorgeous. They're like the cracked ice and the waves, I think, right? And like
cracked. The atomics are out of 150. The waves are out of 99, and the mojos are out of 50.
Right, and the reason I say cracked ice is in sports cards, a lot of the atomic is called cracked ice. It's the same print by Dappz, but they name it differently for different sets. So I'm starting to watch patterns of these cards, and as I get into it, there's two things I'm thinking simultaneously. These cards are wildly underpriced, but then Eric is telling me what he was paying for some of these cards 3 months ago, and I'm like, oh my god, am I late to this? You know what I mean? He's telling me, oh, these cards were selling for $10 90 days ago. Now they're selling for $75 or $100. Now, by the way, a card that's selling for $10, 90 days later selling for $100, that's a 10x on your money. Right. So, like, had you had $1,000 worth of, KUROSAWA refractors for $10, you do the math, right?
I mean, I paid little pennies on the dollar for this card at the time.
Right.
And then spent $30 for grading.
Right.
That's it.
So that was scary to me to a degree, because I also got into NBA Top Shot, which is this NFT that was released. And when I got into the market, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make so much money, blah, blah, blah. And from the time that I bought, things were all going up and it was great. But then I was watching YouTube videos of guys who were telling up the prices of those things 6 months ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm late to this. And I sold all my stuff. I got out because it crashed. Like 60 days later, the whole NBA Top Shot NFT market crashed, right? So you kind of have to be able to look at that on a chart and know what the height of it is. Now, with Star Wars, though, and Topps Chrome Galaxy, for me, the reason I love this set, too, is I watched the pattern of F1. And remember, Lewis Hamilton and these other racers, their prices go ballistic, and their rookie cards, they're their Topps Chrome rookie cards. They've been racing forever, though. They were only printed 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So these things were only printed last year. They drop in August. There's no way this market has reached its peak yet. I don't know what its peak is, but the Lewis Hamilton SUPERFRACTOR just sold last week for $900,000. It's a PSA set.
That was the day that you bought this card, right?
The same
Yes.
day,
Yeah.
right? And like that's very serendipitous, or I don't know what the word.
He
for
bought
that
this
is.
card, and then I sent him that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, if there's any reassurance of like the purchase, that's why I sent it to him. Like, this is a SUPERFRACTOR of a sport that was basically non-existent in America, and Star Wars has been around since 1977.
Mind you, also PSA just posted the SUPERFRACTOR Lewis Hamilton with the auto. So the one that just sold doesn't have his autograph on it. So how much does the one with the auto go for? I don't know. I'm just saying, there's no autograph of this particular one. But at the same time, if this is the true chaser of this set, and this set lives on, again, can it reach a Lewis Hamilton price? I don't know. But we're going to find out. You know what I mean?
You know what's interesting is that when we were doing the deal, you were saying that people were gathering around us. There must have been like at least a handful or a dozen of people coming up to me, Merlin, and our friend Brian, asking, "Hey, what card is that? Is that a Star Wars card that they're dealing with? Why are they putting so much cash around?" And what I think is so interesting about that is because like if you put like LeBron Chrome Refractor, they wouldn't bat an eye. Okay, it's worth 20 grand or whatever. But when they saw this, what it was doing, it was validating. Well, it was piquing their interest. And then when they saw the deal go down, it was validating in their mind that, wait a second, pop culture cards are worth money? Maybe we should look into this, which is one of the main reasons that I wanted to do that deal and how I wanted to get exposure around this. Because like I was telling you guys before, a few months ago, August, I was ripping these boxes. I thought they were worthless. I was giving away the refractors as gifts.
Right.
Had I seen it, and this is my fault, had I been able to foresee the value in these cards at that time, I wouldn't have done that, right? But it takes sales and exposure like this to educate the community and grow the collector base.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that you touched on in the very beginning, which is one of the things that drew me to it, I opened 2 boxes. I pulled numbered refractors out of it, nothing special. Well, what I did admire about the set, which I've opened so many boxes of cards in sports and a bunch of Panini stuff, a bunch of Topps stuff. One thing Topps does a really great job of is they have great quality control. And that's one thing I admired about this set. When I looked at all of the cards, for the most part, they were centered. The corners were sharp. The edges were like, you can floss your teeth with the edges. So the idea of like a whole box of this, I was like, these things are gonna gem. And then you're telling me there's like there's one of ones, out of 5s, out of 10s, out of 25s. In the card market, if you get a first Bowman out of 25, it doesn't matter if the guy, it's a prospect card. The guy hasn't even gotten to the MLB, but it's a 5K plus card naturally, like without a question. Yoda's the GOAT. Luke is the GOAT. Vader's the GOAT.
Yes.
They're always going to be.
There's no prospecting.
There's no prospecting. These guys are automatically the GOAT, and obviously, there's been some comparisons to the PMG market. And I talked with a buddy Steve of mine, and we saw him on your YouTube
live stream last week,
and we've kind of come to the agreement that this is like a Prism, first year Prism. This has all of the things about PMG that people love, but it really has the staying power, the real staying power that Prism has, which is the quality, this like newer view of these cards, like of these Galaxy cards that have been around since like 1994, if I'm not mistaken, 1995. And just to touch on opportunity, when opportunity knocks, when I saw him buy that card, when I saw you buy the SUPERFRACTOR, I had already been scouring the floor, and there was a card that no one was looking at, and no one even knew this guy had it. And it was the KUROSAWA Wave Dime PSA 10. There's not a lot of PSA.
Did you buy that before?
No, I legitimately bought this card 3.5 minutes after he bought that SUPERFRACTOR.
Before word could spread.
Before word, because he
Also,
didn't know.
he spoke to the guy first.
Yeah.
He was like, "Nah, I don't need it." And then
Yeah.
after this happened, he's like, "I need it."
Yeah, I need,
Ran back,
I need to
right?
go back. I need to go and get that card. I bought this card, and I bought this card, which is the Mojo out of 50. And I just, I have a pretty comprehensive, collection of the KUROSAWA. This is my FRACTOR.
He's going for the rainbow.
Out of 10.
Wow.
I will never have the rainbow. We will have to share the rainbow,
rainbow.
together.
You're part of it. You're part of it.
Timeshare.
Yes, and I feel a part of it. But there are so many other beautiful cards in the set, and obviously we're not going to cover all of that stuff in this conversation. But this is a conversation we want to keep going. There's a lot more to dive into, not only with Star Wars super modern, ultra modern cards, but obviously the vintage cards
Right.
that we have, and 1977 sets, the different variations of that, the rookies of that, the true rookies of from Empire Strikes Back in 1980
so
set.
many.
There's so many, and now you see a resurgence of all of that right now on the comps. Vintage is at an all-time. It's going up there, and you have vintage cards that are pop 4. This is a 1977 set, and there's a pop 4 of some of these rookie cards.
And also, by the way, that's what will drive the whole market too, is scarcity, right? And I love on the box it says hobby only product, right? That we talked about, and everything that goes ballistic in price is all about rarity and scarcity, right? Like if there's not a lot of something, or there's a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 5, only so many people can own that thing. And then if it is at a 5 or 10, how many gem? Maybe 2, right? So then that this card, which is, what is this, out of 75, 99? Like how many gems of this card are there, right? 10, 20? I don't know.
Maybe.
But then there's only 20
It's
really,
a pop 1 right now.
right? So it's a pop 1 right now. So I mean, to hear about the vintage stuff that only has so many cards, pop 4 or whatever it is, like that's huge to me. And I'm still like educating myself. I'm by no means an expert on Star Wars cards. Like I said, I'm more of an expert on the markets, right? So I think also to wrap this up, we should probably I have something here. I feel like maybe,
Let's go!
we should. Do I have a knife? Oh, I just have. Dappz Sports blade.
You want to use? Do you want to use the dark saber?
Wow.
You can use the dark saber. Over
Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear your guys' story for the first time, because I think that none of this happens without everybody playing their part. I don't get interested in this card until Merlin tells me this guy Eric Estrada wants this card. Okay.
Right.
Merlin finds this card. Okay. Then I get interested in it after seeing how well he's selling. I buy it. Then you tell your friend Matt Dappz here about it. Then you guys come find us at Del Mar. So like we're all connected, and it had to like really match up for this to happen. And then for us to do the sale to lead us to doing, a podcast like this, I mean, this is great, guys.
The force is strong.
Definitely. And plus, I was fortunate enough where, Dan and I reached out to Randy Martinez. And we had the honor of having him on our show. I mean, he was delighted. He talked a lot about, him doing the art and selling it to Lucasfilms, and how that art got into
That was a
Dappz cards.
huge value add for me.
Absolutely.
To hear how he came up with this, to hear his inspiration, to hear where the original painting is, I was like, wow, that adds to the story of the card, which makes me value it more.
Absolutely. I can't wait to find out more of these stories, because each one of these cards are drawn by different artists. The 3PO card that we touched on, and I have it here and I'll bring it out. This card, obviously, this is drawn by
Nathan Hamill.
Who's
Mark Hamill's son, Luke Skywalker.
And there is let me find it here.
Also,
And then your guy,
how cool
right?
would it be to talk to this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd love to,
How
too.
did you draw this? Like, where did this come from? What inspired you? Obviously, your dad is part of Star Wars, but like, there's some inspiration to this art, right?
And we need to give more exposure and credit to these artists, because
Absolutely.
once Randy was telling us, once they create the commission for Topps, that's it. They don't get royalties. They don't get nothing.
No.
They can't even really resell it. I don't think.
They weren't even aware that
Yeah.
their art was in this set.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting.
Until I reached out to him.
This is a 3PO card. This is an oversized presence.
Ooh, that's
and
cool.
this was actually drawn by a really famous French artist named Mobius, and he was huge in the late 70s. This is only card in the set is Mobius, and like if you know art, like my dad is a huge artist, a connoisseur. He would talk about Mobius when I was growing up, and when I found out that he actually had a card in the set, I just had to have variations of this card. So it brings in Star Wars, which we all know and love the characters. It brings in art, original art. It brings in low numbered parallels and chrome variations that we are all so familiar with. To me, this is my favorite set of all time. And there was, I love precious metal gems, like basketball precious metal gems from back in the day. That was my favorite. But this is now taken, for me, it just brings all of the great things that I love about the hobby.
It's the perfect marriage of everything, and it's something that everybody can appreciate. Whether if you enjoy collecting sports cards, you can appreciate the rarity and the brand. If you appreciate Star Wars, you love the IP, the content, or the subject matter. If you're just a casual collector, you can appreciate the art, like you were saying. So that's why this set is so special, and I think that it bears a whole podcast just to discuss it.
Absolutely. Well.
Can we open some packs?
Yes.
Let's do it.
You're making me stand here, not just looking at the packs for however long. Everybody just open. You're all good.
Just over the same time?
Yeah. But if you pull a super
Okay. he's claiming it.
Guys, but this is what I'm talking about, guys. Like, these cards, this is just a base card, and I'm looking at it like, beautiful. Beautiful card.
So you know what this right
Whoa, let's go!
Oh, we got it.
Mojo of
I
Love You, Han Solo and Princess Leia. Iconic moment in Empire Strikes Back.
What's it numbered to, baby?
This is numbered to 50. Numbered to 50. I Love You.
Oh, wow. 45 of 50.
Art by Rebecca Guay.
Sick.
First of
A
many.
little refractor.
Indoor Chase.
Endor. Here, I actually have these as well, guys.
Love that.
We are prepared.
You know what's so great is like the colors are just so like strong and vivid. It reminds me like when I was a kid and you'd go to like Spencer's and you'd go see the blacklight posters in the back, and there was you're just so fascinated. I mean, that's what it reminds me of.
This is one of my favorite cards. The Mandalorian.
Oh, there we go, Mandalorian.
Yeah, my
Visions.
friend actually has a SUPERFRACTOR of this. I'm keeping an eye on it.
It's incredible. Oh, your friend has that?
Yeah, my friend has it. I'm trying to get him this one right here.
Does he have an asking price?
He's not selling it.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Nobody
I'm
wants to sell these now. So generally, we're getting, what do we think, 4 or 5 numbered cards out here?
If a hot box would be considered 4 or 5 would be considered hot box. 4 or 5
Ooh,
variations.
That's good. Yeah, I didn't get that out of my box.
Usually
last
on
week.
average it's like 3, but every box
Does that
has
include
an
an autograph?
That's
or?
not including an autograph. Usually it's an auto and 3 number variations.
Yes, that's what I got.
With a base refractor in every pack.
You guys can also make a refractor pile for me. That'd be
Sure.
Yeah, we are trying to create the refractor base.
Even
base
this,
refractor.
dude. Like, I don't even know this card very well. A
Gross.
Padawan's Challenge. Like, it's just sick.
So, interesting thing about that card, this is Ahsoka's only card in this set, and
Really?
Ahsoka is now coming out with a series on Disney Plus. So this Ahsoka card,
Yes.
this is actually her rookie card in this set.
That's
So, for those of you who
Oh wow, I
are
didn't know that.
fans of Ahsoka, this is the card you would be targeting.
Well, that's cool.
Vader. The Darkest Lord. And just to also go over, like, there's so many variations of Vader. How they didn't name this one Darth Vader is still beyond me.
This is one of my favorites. Right here.
Yeah.
That is cool. I love the colors. Definitely.
Cult of Vengeance.
Here we go. Auto alert. Chancellor Valorum.
He's got the hot hands right here.
Wow.
Chancellor Valorum.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
Auto.
a few of those.
Here you go.
We got the
Chancellor
auto.
Valorum.
So 1 auto per box, guys.
1 auto. It's a non-numbered auto, but there are numbered autos in there. Refractors.
Now you know I sold a red PSA 10 of this at Del Mar.
You sold that to a gentleman by the name of Philip.
Philip, yes,
if
I
I'm
did.
not mistaken. Philip actually is a connoisseur of
He is
this.
an uber connoisseur. Oh.
Wow.
Pull something.
Yep.
Okay.
Number 10. Look at that, guys.
No.
10.
You got an
The
extra!
X-Factor.
Let's You have a graded 10 of this.
Yes, I do. Yes.
So
maybe he'll show up in
so
the
Attack
series.
of the Clones. Attack of the Clones. This is episode 2. There is a poisonous dart that is used to kill a bounty hunter that Obi-Wan is tracking, which is a really pivotal moment, and he needs to track down where this dart came from. He goes to Dexter, and Dexter tells him that it's from Camino, which is the place where they are making the clones for
That's right.
for the army, basically. And honestly, that card also, if you want to bring that up again, this is really one of the only Obi cards in the set. Also,
Yes.
there's only 2
with the Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, this is the only Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi card. So
There's
this
one
is,
of him in the background.
There's
Yes,
Birth of a Hero.
Yeah,
Birth of a Hero.
that's sick.
But this one, dude, I can't believe you pulled an X-Factor.
I know, right?
That's
That's crazy.
right here.
Oh, another
Ooh.
one! Let's
What's
go.
a good box?
It's like this one too. It's just gorgeous.
It's amazing.
It's sick.
Out of 150, guys. Wow, we pulled some heat.
Wow, great box.
Great box. Great box.
So are these? This is the atomic, correct?
Yeah, that is the atomic. And
So-
Dappz did a wonderful job with that, naming the
was
highest numbered variation, giving it the atomic treatment, giving it the cracked ice treatment. Usually you would think that is like, that would be out of 10 or out of 15 actually in the sports card world.
Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous.
If there's another number variation, this is officially a
hot
hot
box.
box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. The hot box.
Ooh, another little.
Yeah. Uh-oh, guys. Hotter box, baby.
Oh boy.
Merle's got the hot hand, guys. Purple refractor.
Let's go! Out of 25.
Banger.
Out of 25.
Wow.
This
Wow.
one,
Man.
this one is called Mos Eisley's Cantina.
Wow. So we got a purple and an X-Fractor out of this box.
Out of
Purple.
25, 2 of
Jesus.
25, guys.
We got
Wow.
a purple out of 25. We have an X-Fractor out of 10, a purple out of 25,
The magic hands, guys.
Atomic.
an atomic out of 150, the auto, and a mojo out of 50 of I
Damn,
Love
that's
You.
super hot box.
Hot box.
Now that definitely looks like a blacklight poster.
So
This
sick.
is sick.
Yeah, who's the artist on that one?
This is Bruce Zick.
Yeah.
And like again, I don't even know this card, but it's every card I see, I'm like, this is
It's
dope.
very
This
trippy.
is incredible. The whole set is just incredible.
Look at that box. Wow. Wow.
Hot box, guys. What a box to
Great
pick, Dappz.
box.
Jeez, good job.
Great
Wow.
box.
So good, so good. Everyone pulled something too.
Just nerding
That
out,
was the last
baby.
pack, too.
Just nerding
Awesome.
out. Just nerding out, baby.
This is
Let's
great,
go.
guys.
Are these the cards right here?
Those are our bangers.
Wow, look at that. And I think I've already owned two
That
tins.
particular card?
Yes.
Somebody
I
was
still
trying to.
have one.
So somebody was
I
trying
have
to.
the alpha of this one right
Somebody
now.
was trying to sell me this. I don't know if it was an X-Fractor. It might have been the guy we spoke to in Del Mar. And ultimately, I was like, nah, I didn't love the card because I love Obi-Wan, but I didn't know.
it was the only Obi-Wan.
Yeah. But now I got it.
Oh, this was pulled
There it is.
too?
Awesome.
Yep.
This
Yeah.
was out of the box?
That was
This is
refractor.
your favorite.
Yeah, refractor.
Oh, the
Indoor
refractor.
Chase.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, okay. I thought it was a number
These
one.
are all
And I
your
love you.
other.
Also, I might just start sending refractors to PSA too.
Why not?
How many refractors of each card are?
Where's the refractors
You know
go
what
right
I
here?
mean? It's slabs.
Yeah, how are they
So-
gonna
Is
jump?
this the refractors?
This is
inserts?
a refractor.
Okay.
These
Are those refractors?
No, these are just big. Oh, some of them are.
Yeah, throw that in the refractor.
That's the
pile.
thing about this set too. The cards are so pretty. The chrome cards are so pretty. It's almost hard to tell sometimes.
I know,
if
yeah,
it's
I have to turn them
refractor.
around.
Yeah, and luckily they all have refractor written
Thank goodness,
in the
yes.
back. So if you ever have anyone out there is worrying or wants to find out if it's a refractor or not, just turn it around.
This has been an absolute blast. We're gonna have to have you guys back.
Oh, yeah, I
again.
love
I think we could do this once a week.
Yeah.
Twice a week.
I'll do it every day.
Eric would do it every single day.
Thank you guys so
I
much for
love being so
coming.
close.
Great to see
Thanks,
you.
Matt. Thanks for
is
having
fun.
us, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah,
Papa, I
absolutely.
can
Pleasure,
shake your hand
man.
like you're leaving, but you're gonna be here.
I'll be here for a while. Yeah.
This is the atomic refractor out of 150 Skyhopper.
And then we got the refractor Endor Chase, and then I got the Chancellor Valorum Auto. Very, very nice.
This is the I Love You Han Solo and Princess Leia from Empire Strikes Back out of 50. Mojo Refractor.
This is the purple refractor, numbered out of 25. This is the Mos Eisley Cantina. And then I have the X-Fractor, numbered out of 10. This is the Obi-Wan Kenobi Ewan McGregor. Offbeat buddies.
Great rip. Great rip.
Sick.
It is, right? Good job, guys. Good job.
Sick rip.
Could have done without you all.
Guys, we need to do this again.
Okay.
I want to do a deeper dive, not only into this set, but Star Wars in general. Obviously, we have a lot of people out there who know a lot more than we do.
Oh, yes.
And as collectors who love Star Wars, we want to actually know more about the set. We want to know more about vintage. And I think it would be awesome if we can get back together at some point, bring on some of those guys, maybe even reach out to Dappz and see if we can get any of those guys to sort of jump on and talk, have a talk with us. But there's so much more to talk about. I can't wait to do it with you guys.
Love it. Be my pleasure.
Count me in. Count me in.
Awesome. Awesome.
Catch you guys next time. Peace out.